Hello, everyone. It's Dennis here with Revog Games. This is our weekly podcast. I'm joined by...
Joshua Weyers, all the way in South Africa.
Yes, and it's a good day for me today because it is 2 weeks since I got my second dose of the Pfizer vaccine, COVID vaccine. That means I am fully vaxxed. Actually, I'm past the time. I think I got it right about now. As we're taping, this is Friday, 1:35 p.m. I think about this time, about maybe in 5 minutes is when I actually got it done. So there we go. I don't know if you can tell on your end, but hopefully the viewers can. I have a new camera up here, so
yeah, you look sharp, man.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's some great quality, dude.
It's actually so I have a webcam. I've been using the webcam, but I've been unhappy with not so much the resolution, but the dynamic range in terms of the light or whatever. I didn't buy this camera for this. This camera is
This looks great though. What
It's
camera is this?
it's a Canon. It's not a DSLR because I sold my DSLR and I got a mirrorless camera. It's a Canon R6. So it's like a $2,000 camera. So it's not meant for this purpose. But I'm like, well, I own it. I bought it to take pictures and to shoot video with, so I could, because I didn't have a 4K camera. So this is my first 4K camera. I was like, oh, well, I have my Elgato. Why don't I just use I've had the camera for a couple months now, but I just, I didn't have the little
cable.
Not just the cable, but the little tripod thing, the clamp.
Oh
for
yeah,
the desk.
because you need a fairly strong one as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't want to take up more space, so I had to buy one that clipped onto the desk, and it had to be above my monitor's pretty tall. So anyways, I got the cool looking bokeh behind me, nice shallow depth of field. But yeah, so it's a good day. COVID vaccine, fully
I'm jealous.
vaxxed.
I'm upset. It looks too good. I can't get over it. I know we're talking about your vaccine, but I'm upset at how good that quality is, man.
Yeah.
I need to go find $2,000.
Nice. You could get better quality, and you don't need $2,000. I just happen to. I've been using this camera for other purposes, so might as well repurpose it. And I'm rocking my. You probably have no idea what this shirt is, but
+1, +2, +1. Yeah, I got no clue.
Says it right there. It's a Clue shirt from the movie Clue.
Oh.
So just got that recently. We're rocking it today. So yeah, today is a good day. Anyways, you guys, what's the vaccine situation down there for you guys?
Dennis, I wish I could tell you. I literally Googled it like 2 days ago and couldn't find any information within my own country regarding our vaccinations. I just don't know. Here's the thing: we do not have the infrastructure to vaccinate quick enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And enough people. And it's like a thing of we're starting with the elderly, of course, and then we're moving our way to the healthcare workers. I think by the time I get the chance to get a vaccine, I'll probably have immigrated. Truthfully.
Back to the US?
Yeah, truly, I believe I'll be back in LA before I get the vaccine in South Africa. Unless we get to a point where it's going to be like, oh, you have to be vaccinated before you can go to America, which who knows, they might make that a thing. Immigration will be changing a lot within, I think, this year. You know? But we'll see what happens. I'm still saving up for that immigration attorney, and hopefully I'll be back in LA within a year or less.
Cool. But you'll definitely be able to get the vaccine here because there's plentiful.
Dude, yeah, America's killing it, man. The fact that you guys have a problem where people aren't getting like some of the clinics are empty. They're like, we have vaccines and nobody wants them. What the heck, guys?
Not nobody wants them. It's people who are ignorant aren't getting them. That's how I got mine early. By the way, I got mine a week or two earlier than normal because there was an area that had a lot of people who didn't believe in the vaccine, so they had all this extra, and I was like, well, you don't want it. I drove an hour and a half to get it. So anyways.
Exactly.
Anyway.
I mean, speaking of as well, I'd like to point out my friend Al he signed up to be one of the original testers. He took the vaccine in last year November, I think. Or around he feels fine.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I
he
didn't
was one of
have.
the first people that ever got administered the vaccine, and it's been like months, and he feels great, you know?
Yeah, I got Pfizer, so my side effects were very minimal. I got a little bit of fatigue, a little nausea, but nothing major. People who've been getting Moderna here, their second shot, a lot of them been kicking their ass. But when I say kicking their ass, it means they got really, really
Like
tired. They got a little
3-4 days, yeah.
just for a day or two. It's not like
Yeah.
they felt like they got run over by a car. Yeah, have you ever like?
It's mostly just your arm that's sore from what I've heard. It's people just saying like, yeah, my arm was sore for a few days and it sucked, but it's worth it.
Yeah, some people
Look,
just
like
say like their whole body
dad,
hurt. So
yeah, my dad was talking about vaccines back in the military, like back in like the 70s and stuff, and he was like, I think he took a vaccine for gout, which I didn't even know they had or whatever, and my dad they took it like on the spot, and his arm just straight up didn't work for a day. He just literally had zero. He went to go like lift up the ammo or like the bombs or the missiles or whatever, and only one arm went up, and he's like, oh shit. Like for a full day he was out, and I was like, honestly, like when he told me that story from the 70s, I was like it makes sense. I mean, look, vaccines have come a long way, but like quick vaccines can kick your ass, but that's working,
Cool. Yeah. So, anyways, back to gaming. This is gamer related. Why I'm so happy is besides the vaccine.
You look healthy though, which is good.
We released a big update for our VR basketball game. Pick up Basketball VR, which is available on Steam. If you have the Quest 2, you can play it just using the link cable. Actually, I haven't tested AirLink yet, but some people have been able to play it with AirLink and Virtual Desktop wirelessly. But I mean, obviously, you still need a PC, but you can play it with your Quest 1 or 2 with a link cable. We are making a Quest version, but that will be out in probably a couple months or something like that. But anyways, if you have a VR system and you got a VR capable PC, check it out. We just added computer 1v1 AI. We added some personal stat tracking and all that good stuff.
Right on.
Yeah. So, all right, let's get into the bigger gaming news. Today, Mass Effect Legendary Edition came out. It's for Xbox Series X. It's for the PC. It's for PS5. It's come out. I have not gotten it yet. I will say the reviews have been very, very positive. A lot of people, because a lot of people, remember we had talked about it before. People were like, well, they're just doing the graphics, and so some people were disappointed that wasn't more. It wasn't a full on like Final Fantasy VII type of reboot, where they're changing a lot of mechanics. It's more of a graphical. They're changing little bits of the gameplay, but not much. But it's mainly a graphical overhaul. But all reviews, not all, but like overwhelmingly positive from all the reviews that I have read, and a lot of people are loving it. For me right now,
I know a lot of people who have pre-ordered it, but it's still, I mean, like it just came out, so
yeah, it came out last night at midnight.
I know everyone's excited. Yeah,
and it's a lot of positive reviews. It's $60. It's a little rich for my blood right now. Days Gone by director, or not Days Gone.
You mean 60?
Huh?
You said $6?
$60.
Yeah, I was like $6. You were like $6. I don't know if I can afford it.
Yeah. If I can't afford a $6 brand new game, I'm in trouble. But $60, a little rich for my blood for right now, just in terms of not so much that I don't think it's worth it, because it's 3 games that I love, that they've put some work into it. It's probably tons and tons of hours of play. It's one, I've already played them, so yes, I already know the story. It'll be great to play it again and go through it with new graphics. But with Game Pass and with all these other games that I still own that I haven't finished and played, you know what I mean? Like, I just can't justify buying a $60
at the
remaster game. It's not even a new game.
Yeah, you got a good point. Yeah, you got a very good point. Like, I think we said this last time, but I feel like $40 would have been the perfect and fair price, because every single remake, every like good remake we've had since has been about $40. the Spyro, Crash Bandicoot. Like,
To be
they've all
fair,
been about $40.
this is 3 games. It's a whole trilogy in one. So I see. So it's basically $20 per remaster.
I get so.
I'm not saying it's not fair. I'm just saying, at this point, with the amount of free time I have and the games that I still need to play still, like, I can't, first of all, I don't have the time to play, each game.
It is 3
20
huge
plus
games.
Yeah, each game is about 20 plus
huge.
hours. So
Yeah.
you're talking about minimum 60 hours, but probably more 60 to 80 hours worth of gameplay, so.
Yeah.
But anyways, what's your take on kind of the positive reviews, and what's your interest in buying this game?
Honestly, as soon as I have the money for it, I do want to buy it because I never got to finish Mass Effect 3, like the proper ending. It's just like, I mean, I was just in a busy time in high school when the game came out for me, But I really want to play Mass Effect 2 again, and I'm going to be starting from the beginning, fresh. I think I'll wait for it to go on sale. Might take a while, but it's definitely possible. I want to play it. That's all I can tell you, man. I really want to play it. Like, I can understand how some people are upset playing, like, I wouldn't say, well, nobody's really upset, but like, I can see how some people could be put off by the $60 markup, but considering how vast those games are, like, I mean, like Crash Bandicoot was also 3 games, but those were 3 much smaller games in comparison to like the 3 Mass Effect games, I mean, I think it's going to be, for people who haven't played it.
It's totally worth it. If you've never played it,
$60 is worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth
it. It's a great deal. For $60 and you've never played any of them, it's a great deal. Even if you've only played 1, I think it's still a great deal. If you played 2 or all 3 of them at $60, it's kind of, I love this franchise, don't get me wrong. It's like I said, it's a time thing right now at times, I just don't. My whole thing is, let's say I plunk down the $60 right now, right? And I start playing it, but I don't have that much time, and maybe I put it off, and I get through a few hours on, let's say, Mass Effect 1, and then like by the time I get to it, it's like 6 months to a year later, and then the game would have already gone down in price, right? So you know what I'm saying? Like, so why didn't I just not play it? Because I don't have to play it right now.
I agree. It's also one of those things where that's kind of how I felt about Resident Evil, which, by the way, now that it's been a while, I've actually been able to look at a lot more gameplay, and it looks really fun. It looks like the game's a lot more fun than I thought,
You're talking about Resident Evil 2 remake?
No, not the remake, just the most recent Resident Evil.
Oh, Village.
Because I didn't have much of an opinion on it last week, but now I do. It looks great. It's still one of those things where I'm not going to wait for it to be on sale. I'm just going to wait for me to have time to play it. Like, I just got to wait for that. Same with the Mass Effect remake. Like, that's something that I'm going to want to own, even if I don't play it. Like, I want to own it because it's like, just so that I know if 10 years from now I want to play it. You know what I mean? Like, 10 years from now, if I get a craving for Mass Effect, I'm not going to be playing the original ones if the remasters exist. Yeah. It's like some games I just want to own. Like, I just want to own for having them.
Well, then you probably want to own. You probably want to own them on PC if you want something for more posterity
for
purpose.
Life.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like, I've actually been considering buying the Kingdom Hearts trilogy on PC for that exact purpose, because I have them on PS4. But let's face it, like if I have it digitally on PC, I'll have it 50 years from now.
Yeah. To be fair, though, like, the remaster is great, the graphics look great, but I'm looking at the original graphics right now in a side-by-side comparison.
The originals really aren't too bad.
Yeah, they aren't. They're still pretty good, to be honest with you.
I feel like some of the animations might be smoother. Not the cutscenes, but like some of the in-game animations, they most likely got smoother and things like that.
Yeah, and the textures are higher quality on the new one. But what I'm saying is, like, it's overall, it's still, pretty, for that time.
Hey, man.
Xbox 360.
Look, for that time, let's just say that the arousing scenes in that were it did my teenage heart good. It was good enough for a teenager like me, man. All right.
God, I already graduated college by the time this game came out. Anyways, on a side note, some people who have like Game Pass Ultimate, like myself,
Mm.
everyone's wondering, oh, am I going to be able to play Mass Effect Legendary Edition on there? No, you cannot, at least currently. If you have EA Play Pro, which is $15 a month, which is different than the EA
Yeah.
access that you get through
Yeah,
Game Pass.
regular EA Play is different from EA Play Pro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, you will not be able to play it. That doesn't mean it won't come out later, 6 months from now.
Yeah.
Who knows? A year from now, maybe it will. But right now, no. So that's another reason. Not that I'm like waiting for it to like come on Game Pass. Like I said, it's just more of a time thing where I know I just won't get around to it. So I might as well wait around for a little while. But yeah, if you are interested in buying it, or you don't want to wait, or you think it's coming to Game Pass anytime soon, you might be having to wait a little while. Cool.
All right.
All right. Next thing, this one is very interesting. So Remedy Entertainment, the developers of Control and Alan Wake, they are working on another game, which is interesting because they have now, with this confirmation of a new game that they're working on, they have six games in development. Which you're talking
six? Hold on. You're gonna have to catch me up because I can only think of three.
Yeah, so they're working in conjunction. I forgot what the other developer is, but they're working with a developer on the single player modes.
They're co-developing a few other things. I see.
Yeah,
saying,
Crossfire X and Crossfire HD.
Yeah, okay.
That first person shooter. They have two projects set in the Control and Alan Wake universe. One is a AAA title, and another's a smaller project. My guess is
aren't we isn't there speculation that we think it might be an Alan Wake sequel?
Yeah, but when they say there's a AAA game
prequel.
and one's a smaller project, my assumption is the AAA game is probably Control 2, and the smaller project is Alan Wake.
Fair.
Unfortunately, Alan Wake,
sales,
Alan Wake, I loved it, but it was more a cult favorite. And Control was much more of a widely praised, and got Game of the Year for a lot of places. It was my Game of the Year the year before, not last year, but the year before. So. Yeah, so you have those two, and then they're doing a free-to-play co-op game called Vanguard, and then now this newly other project, which is interesting because, in the article it notes that Remedy was started in 1996, and since 1996 to now, they've only released 9 games total. So think about that time span.
Yeah.
That's 20, how many years?
Do they have the manpower for this? That's my question.
25 years, right? They said they've expanded to 281 employees, and they plan on growing out more. But think about that. In 25 years, they released 9 games, and now they currently have 6 in development. So I'm interested to see what this is because, if it's not obviously the Control and Alan Wake stuff is a separate thing. I don't know if it's a new. Did they say it's a new IP or is it something? It says a new game. That doesn't mean a new IP.
Not going to happen. No, it's not going to happen for a long time because like they said, the quote here is we have now started to implement the next phase of our strategy, and just because they're saying the next phase, that leads me to believe that it's only going to happen. I mean, it's only going to happen after literally. Like probably whatever they're like this big AAA game that they're working on in the other game. Those 2 games are going to come out before they even I think really get any. They're probably going to be in like pre-production for like early pre-production for this game for like a couple of years.
Yeah.
At least that's the only way I see them pulling it off.
Yeah. So
I mean, it did expand to 281 employees though. They did expand.
It's interesting because in this article it says that last year is the most profit they ever made, and they didn't even release a game last year.
Oh, that's crazy. Well, they released the Control. There was like a special edition of Control.
Yes, but I mean they didn't really, it was like the special edition Control. They licensed it to, wasn't it on Game Pass for a while?
It sold well. It still is. I think I think it's getting removed or has just been removed possibly.
Yeah. So,
because games are only on Game Pass for a while. Some like a lot
well,
of
if
the
they're
games that were
not,
first on Game
yeah,
Pass
yeah,
are
if they're
kind of
third-party
going off.
games, not for first-party
Yeah,
games,
they're not
but
forever. Yeah.
but yeah. So if they're making that much money and
Hmm.
they didn't even release a game, that's a pretty good sign. I mean, Remedy has actually always been one of my favorite developers. Um, Max Payne, I only played the first one. I didn't play. How many sequels did they have? 2 or 3? I can't remember. But anyways, yeah, they've just been known for working on games for several years. I mean, not like to Rockstar's extent where it's like 8 years for a game.
I think the fact that they're planning on developing a game, an ongoing multiplayer co-op game, the squad game Vanguard that they're working on,
Free to
which is
play.
it's free to play, it's games as a service, right? If
Yeah.
you are gonna be doing a game and it does popular, if this game does well, like really well, let's face it, the bulk of their money is going to be coming from it because games as a service is uh, if the game does well, it's an incredibly profitable way to run games. Whether people like it or not, it works. So it's one of those things where that would end up taking all their manpower. Like if they want to continue the hype train of that thing, like pulling out constant updates and stuff like that, that would require a lot of manpower. Having a games as a service thing, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, the other thing is you got to be successful. I mean, okay,
Mm.
let me ask you this question. So we all know Fortnite is the big dog. Apex Legends is pretty good. You have Call of Duty Warzone, which was already established IP. Who knows if Warzone, if it was not related to Call of Duty, how well it would have done.
Mm.
Okay. Where does Valorant fall in the success line, right? Because you have stuff like, what was that game, that one Ubisoft did, like Hyperscape or whatever the hell that thing was
Yeah.
called, that
Well,
just didn't do very
it's
well.
you got to keep in mind though that Valorant is a different genre. Like it's not
It
a battle royale.
it is, but what I'm talking about is like, I think a lot of people are
In terms of free to play games, are you asking
Yes.
like where it lies on the
Yeah,
like
because
well look
you have
definitely
Overwatch.
Fortnite, Apex, and then like because like Valorant, if you look at Valorant in terms of popularity, like actually let me tell I can right now is perfect. What's the time in America? It's a Friday, right? On
Yeah,
the West Coast, what's the time right
Friday,
now?
2 p.m. About 2 p.m.
Okay, I'm gonna go onto Twitch, and then I'm gonna show you the actual comparison in terms of viewership, which I believe is what really shows popularity of a game. You know what I mean? Is how many people are watching a game. Let's see, browse.
Like, I know it's not Battle Royale. I just kind of
Yeah, so
lump
right
these
now
games.
Right now, there's 126,000 people watching Fortnite streams. There's 98,000 people watching Apex streams. Oh wow, there's 121,000 people watching Valorant streams.
Nice.
It could also just be the time of the day, but actually that changes my mind. I guess Valorant's doing a lot better than. Look, I love Valorant, but I didn't know it was doing that well. It's doing really well, actually. Wow. But listen, they make their money. Dennis, do you know how expensive the skins are in that game? It is the most expensive skin. Like, because their only competitor is CSGO, and CSGO skins are also expensive. There's like a whole gambling thing involved with CSGO, pretty much. But it's like, let's see, how much would you say is like 20 euros in dollars?
Probably 30 something.
Imagine paying that much for a weapon skin.
Yeah, I'm not paying that.
Yeah, no, right? No. Like I'll pay $3
Yeah.
for something cool,
Yeah.
$5 maybe.
Yeah.
Look, like maybe a whole set for $10,
Yeah.
Like, well, I mean, look, on even on Fortnite, like they'll give you a whole legendary set for $20. On Valorant, it's like, look, you'll get maybe one or two guns. Like you'll get a gun. Like that's a knife. That's maybe like one knife. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's why they're profitable at least.
Yeah, so
Very tough.
but what I'm saying is like it's hard to be profitable / successful
Yeah.
in that free to play
Yeah,
realm.
because to be fair, Valorant was successful as a free to play game because it wasn't a battle royale. Its only competition was CS:GO, which is where the success lies. I wonder, like, yeah, like that would be like if I was a game studio, I'd be thinking of the next like if I was gonna do games as a service, I'd be looking at where are the gaps in the market for free to play games. You know what I mean? Like, because nobody saw that gap. The fact because CS:GO was free and there was literally no good competitor. You know what I mean? So I'm wondering, like, Dota, you got Dota and League, so there's no point in getting into MOBAs. I wonder what the next big thing is. I wonder if we'll see
It
like
always
free to play survival games, like
Possibly.
Minecraft and stuff. That could be the thing. Free to play survival games. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, remember that the video game kind of industry always goes in kind of cycles of what's popular at a given point, and then that dies down, and then something else becomes popular and whatnot. So we'll see. All right. Next topic, we got EA. They're teasing Battlefield 6 in June. I mean, they're not releasing in June. They're just going to do a reveal in June. And then I think people are kind of speculating that this fall, maybe September, October, is when the game will come out. I didn't play Battlefield 5. I quite enjoyed Battlefield 4. Excuse me. Battlefield 4. Was it 3 or 4? I can't remember.
Four was like very hyped. People loved 4. 5 is the most recent one.
Yeah, 5 wasn't as well received.
Yeah, people loved 4.
But it's
like,
a different.
I owned it and I never got to play it, but it was hype. People loved that game. You know.
But it's a different kind of experience than Call of Duty. That's kind of what I liked about it. Call of Duty to me is like the Michael Bay, and I say that in a good way. You know, where it's like over the top action and. You know, a lot of the stuff that happens is just ridiculous but fun. And then Battlefield was a much more realistic type of thing, game where it's like a little more strategy when you're playing, a little more, you know. And I'm talking about the single player.
Much bigger maps and bigger amounts of people, you know. It just felt more like war, you know. Well, actually, honestly, Medal of Honor felt the most like war, but that series is who knows where that series is, you know. But Battlefield 4 was also cool because that was the first time they implemented map changing events, you know, where like buildings would blow up and the map would change and stuff like that, you know, which is really cool. Like I just love, like, dude, the Battlefield series. I'm always hyped for. Look, Battlefield, I don't care what they're doing with their new game. It's Battlefield. Like it doesn't matter what the story is. I don't care what era they set it in. I do not care what the things look like. It's battle. At the end of the day, it's Battlefield's Battlefield. There are certain points. You have vehicles you can get into. You know, it's still, at the end of the day, it's still the same base game. You know what I mean? Same as Call of Duty. Like the things you're doing are the same. Yeah, you might get a couple different game modes, but it's stable. It works. I'm always excited for a new Battlefield game. What I like is that they don't really do one. I guess they try to do one every year, but they don't always. You know.
I'm glad that they're not doing stuff every year.
I played Battlefield 1942 religiously. That was a great game. But yeah, no, I'm excited.
Other than sports games, I don't want games to come out every year.
Yeah, and I agree. I honestly
look how much better the Assassin's Creed games are now that they aren't every single year. So
and this is a hot take, but I don't want a new sports game every year. I want a new sports game every console generation, which I'm aware. Like, and here's the thing, because they're like, oh, but it's not affordable. I'm like, no, to them it is affordable. They don't care about their freaking game sales. They care about their FIFA pack sales, their microtransactions. Yeah. They still make money off of like the FIFA from 5 years ago.
I wonder at what point they will go free to play.
Like, cause why not? Like, you're making so much money from the microtransactions. If anything, it encourages like people to spend that money. I just don't get it. Like, I understand people that love like football, and if you're watching it and it gets updated, whether you're into, you know, whether it's American football or British football or like the NBA or whatever it is, if you're like following the league, and like, I get it, because then you do want to get it every year and you want it updated. But for someone like me, I truly do not feel a difference in these games every year. I feel a difference with generational gaps, you know what I mean? Or like if they make progress, but there's always never like a freaking big difference between like sport games in terms of years. You know, you can tell a difference between 2 or 3 years, but every year the changes are so small. I hate that. Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah.
Pet peeve. It's never going to change anyways.
Yeah. We'll see. Well, I mean, back in the day with 2K Sports, when they were competing against Madden and they still had the NFL license, they lowered the price of the game, I think, to like $20 or something a year, because they're like, all right, well, we know people don't like buying new sports games every single year because it's, you know, the enhancements aren't that big, and so they had eventually just dropped to $20, and I think that's what scared Madden, because after a year of that, they were like, even though they aren't making any, more money, they're taking market share away, and that's when they bought up that NFL exclusive license and essentially killed NFL 2K.
Yeah,
So
which makes sense. Yeah, because now the only two, I mean, like NBA 2K is definitely better, is the better in terms of the NBA ones. But yeah, I've never even tried NFL 2K. But to go
well,
back
they
on the
stopped
Battlefield
it.
topic,
They did 1 year of no license. Where it was like
yeah,
San Francisco with no, and no one bought it because everyone wants the license. I mean, that's how important licenses are to games, right? If you don't have a license or IP, it's very hard to get people to buy into what you're selling.
yeah, no, it makes sense. But yeah, I never actually got to play Battlefield 5, but I did play Battlefield 1. Loved it.
Oh yeah, I played
Because that
Battlefield
was
1
like,
as well.
yeah, Battlefield 1 was the most non-Battlefield like game out of all the games out of all the Battlefield games I played, but still kind of like Battlefield, you know. Still had you still had your different vehicles that you could get into, and it just worked a little differently. That's all. But I liked it.
I should revisit the campaign because I only played multiplayer on Battlefield 1, so I should revisit playing.
I actually want to get back into Battlefield 4 now that you mentioned that. Like, I wonder if the servers are populated still, because I would love to get into that. But it's always nice to hear a new Battlefield game. Like, I hope it does well, because Battlefield tends to have a habit of releasing their games at the most unopportune times, you know? Let me just say that. Well, not all the time, but sometimes. Like Battlefield 1 dropped at an awkward time as well. It dropped at the same time as Titanfall 2, which is why Titanfall 2 wasn't able to do as well. And like, it was, anyways, I'm looking forward to it. It's always good news.
Cool. Here's an interesting piece of news, but we don't know exactly what it means. So, Gabe Newell, we all know, Valve president, he's hinting. He was asked a question when he was in New Zealand by a student. He was asked about Steam porting games to consoles, and he said, "You'll have a better idea of that by the end of this year." So, what does that mean? There's two possibilities. It means that either he's talking about the Steam / Valve created games, right? You're talking about Half-Life Alyx and some other stuff that
like
being ported to console
Portal,
games,
etc. Yeah.
Or he's talking about, which is a much bigger deal, is and less likely, is somehow getting Steam as the store / service onto consoles. Now that's highly unlikely, just because unless they're going to cut in profits to the console makers, it just seems like they're just taking the place of like an Xbox store or a PlayStation store
was that
or
the
whatever.
exact quote, by the way? Because if that was the exact quote, then that quote being as vague as is, I feel like it might actually have nothing to do with him, and he might just know something else. Because when just regarding this issue, the first thing I think of is Sony and Epic is teaming up. We like, even though it's not confirmed, they're pretty much gonna team up. Sony games will be probably exclusively on the Epic's launcher, most likely. And then, well, I feel like the two are going to be working together in the future. They realize now that they've had to team up. So the fact that they're teaming up with Epic allows me to believe that Steam's not going to be on the PlayStation. Xbox doesn't want Steam on the PlayStation because it's Microsoft. It can probably do it through its own proxy. They've got xCloud streaming. They can work out a way to get it to work. Here's the thing, though, because maybe he has something planned and he just doesn't know that, it's unlikely. Maybe he doesn't realize that Microsoft is making their own moves and PlayStation is making their own moves, because to be honest, as much as I love Gabe Newell, he probably lives in a Valve bubble, a little bubble of Valve, It just seems unlikely. Here's the thing, though. A couple weeks ago, we did cover a topic where someone was able to play Steam games on their Xbox through the Edge Explorer, because they were able to stream their PC games through the Edge Explorer through Steam Link. I think it was Steam Link. They figured it out. Obviously, like, Microsoft's not going to have that. I don't know if they've patched it yet, because it was one of those like thing like it was like a fan
Mhm.
or like just a person discovered it. So the thing is, it's possible because somebody did in fact do it. They were playing their Steam games on an Xbox,
Mhm.
so it's definitely possible. Whether they're going to legally be able to do it, I don't think so. You know what I mean? Like in terms of licensing rights and all that, I think that they may have just missed the deals.
Mhm.
They may have just missed the opportunity to make a deal. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll
They
see how
could make a
that.
deal with Xbox. I don't see them making a deal with PlayStation though.
Yeah, I mean,
Just because just because of the whole
not for
Epic
the
thing.
store, not for the store, because yeah, they're
Yeah.
very. Now I have two questions for you. One, well, two comments. One is this could be a very little small thing, and maybe it just means that they are
It could
porting.
just be the orange box, which is like three
Yeah,
games.
or they're
You
porting
know?
Half-Life Alyx to the PSVR 2, which we'll talk
Yeah,
about in a
and the
little bit.
PSVR 2 does look fairly impressive, you know? It's still
So,
not the Quest, but it's better than
yeah.
the original from what we've seen.
Now, on a bigger kind of scale topic, how much do you think, maybe not right now because Steam is so big, but in the future, doesn't Game Pass, in essence, threaten Steam? Because obviously,
I'd say financially, yes, but at the same time, it'll never
have all the
destroy Steam.
games that
It'll never
Steam has.
destroy Steam because here's the thing that Steam has that nobody else has, which is like an infinite amount of indie games and new games. Like Steam, it is still to this day, even though the deal is bad, it is a lot easier to get your game on Steam
Yeah.
than anywhere else.
Yeah, I
Like
know,
it is the
because
easiest place to get. Yeah,
I know,
it's the
because
easiest-
that's how we
like
got
it is, like
our
I mean,
VR
I
game
can
on there.
I can literally because they have their yes the Steam Greenlight thing. It's fairly easy to get on, which is also
yeah.
like and it's not monitored, which is dangerous, which is how like
They
sometimes
just
sex
monitor.
games get
They
cut
yeah.
through, you know.
They if there's reports of X, Y, and Z, then they'll look into it. But yeah, for the
'Cause
most part,
sometimes
as long as
games
it
get
doesn't
through
have
to,
a,
like the main store.
they're
And it's
actually more
weird.
concerned about viruses than they are sex and violence.
Yeah, it's. I think to be fair, they have probably. I think they have 6 games on Steam now. Like they were for a long time fighting it, and they're like, it's too many. Just
Yeah,
if they make money,
they have warnings
we get
and
30%,
whatnot.
so let's go. You
They have
know?
warnings, and they're not super popular anyway, so it's
But yeah,
fine.
Steam does have just that's the thing. I will always stand by the Xbox Game Pass just because I use it every day. I've never ever regretted my membership to this point to this day. It's sad to see some games come and go, especially if you like really get into them, you know? But it is what it is. But with Steam, I can't tell you how many amazing hidden gems I found on Steam. That games that I would never have ever played before just because one day it got recommended to me on Steam. Like the original Risk of Rain, which is like a cult classic, and everyone knows Risk of Rain 2. Not a lot of people know the original Risk of Rain. I found that game on a whim, like the day it was released, just because it was like, hey, newly released game, and it was like $10. I was like, yeah, I'll try it out. That game like semi changed my life that summer of my college career, of like my college education. So I do like Steam for that. That's one of those things where it's also like I think Steam will be held dear in people's hearts,
Yeah.
even though people shit on Steam all the time. A lot of people have good memories tied to it, I suppose. So yeah, I do see Steam taking in the future. Or even right now, I see Steam taking a huge financial hit, but at the same time, I don't think they're gonna feel that financial hit because of the progress they're making with the Valve Index. And like by the looks of the things with their next headset, they might get to a point where they're gonna not really give a shit about games anymore. You know what I mean?
I mean,
If it's
they
if
make
it's
so
as
much
game-changing
money.
as they say it is.
If they make so much money right now, I don't think they're that concerned. I'm just talking about way in the future
Yeah.
or whatever. Once
Yeah.
I believe games are going to become more like Netflix, where it's like streaming services.
I think way in the future, Steam is going to survive by being the go-to VR platform. That's what I think. Like at least in terms of I feel that
right
happening.
right
Like,
now
if the,
right now the
if the Oasis ever happens, I think it's going to be Valve. I think Valve's going to make the Oasis.
I don't know. I mean, right now Oculus is making big.
Well, they're
leaps.
making the hardware, but I feel like the people who will make like the world itself will probably be Valve.
Well, Facebook is trying to turn it into the Quest because right now the Quest 2 is the most mainstream VR headset ever, and it's
the most accessible for sure. Like,
people are buying it. It's hilarious.
I would, if you gave me the option, by the way, sorry to interrupt, between the Valve Index and the Quest 2, I would go for the Quest 2, purely for that feeling of like, yes, there are times where I want to experience a high-end VR game and I'll plug myself in, but dude, that freedom of having no cables is, I can't compare it to anything else.
Yeah,
It's like
but
every VR headset I've ever tried with a cable, it's not worth it anymore. You can't go back. Once you've done
also
cableless, you can't go back.
with AirLink now you could, and you if you have a good enough PC, which you do, because you have the same graphics card as me, with AirLink you can play those games on your Quest 2 as long as you have the PC within range. So, and you have a fast enough router. So the only thing that you can't do is you can't take your headset, let's say, to a friend's house or whatever to show people whatever. But within the confines of your home, and you have a PC ready rig, and you have a Quest 2, you can play it wirelessly. You can play Half-Life Alyx wirelessly right now. I mean, you could do that with Virtual Desktop, but Virtual Desktop was something you had to buy, and then. And
you said it was a little clunky as well, didn't you?
Well, it's it's not consistent across
it was
games.
better than the TP. Sorry, it's better than the other form at the time. Yeah. You just said the word and I forgot it, but yeah.
So, anyways, well, speaking of VR, that leads us into the next thing. So, one of the big players in the VR space that kind of got their thunder stolen by Oculus and Quest at the time. HTC Vive was kind of the go-to VR headset. They had built that in conjunction with Valve and Steam. Now, Valve went and did the Valve Index, and Oculus has become a much bigger player now, especially with the standalone. They released, or not released, they revealed details of their next two VR headsets, and it's very interesting. So they announced the Vive Pro 2, which is an upgraded version of the Vive Pro. It's got some great specs. It's still a tethered experience. The resolution is, very high. Without the base stations, it's $750. Well, if you pre-order, $750, but it's actually $800. But if you need to buy the actual controllers plus the base stations, then it's $1,400. Which is pretty expensive. We're talking about top of the line experience here. You're talking about 2,448 by 2,448 per eye resolution, 120 refresh hertz. Like, it's this is a high end thing. This is to when you're talking about stuff like the Valve Index or whatever. Now, who knows if they can compete with the Valve Index. We'll see. I don't like that they kept the same controller. Those are kind of outdated. Those Vive controllers. If you ever seen them, they're kind of like wands. They've got a little thumb pad.
Yeah.
And what's weird is then they announced this HTC Vive Focus 3, which is a standalone unit, and it looks really cool. It's a standalone thing. It looks very high end. Looks very comfortable. The only problem with it, and it comes with new.
Which one is it? Is this the Vive Focus 3 or is it the
Vive Focus 3?
Vive Pro 2?
No, I'm talking about the Vive Focus 3.
So that's the standalone. Okay.
That's the standalone, and it has new controllers that look more like what the Oculus controllers are, which are the kind of the standard look now. Like even the PSVR ones are kind of like that as well. The Valve Index ones are more high end, the knuckles. But they all kind of have that same shape or whatever. And that's why I'm saying that the outdated ones that they have for the Vive Pro, I don't think they cut it anymore. And I don't know why they kept it. They should have upgraded. But they do have these Oculus-like controllers for the Focus 3. The problem with the Focus 3 is that it's for corporate. It's a commercial headset. Okay. It is not for... You can get it and you can play games on it or whatever, but the problem being is that it's for corporate. It's $1,300. It's for businesses to use. Whether internally or for like displays for commercial or marketing purposes. But if you look at it, the Focus 3, it basically looks like a high-end Oculus Quest.
Yeah,
the
it does. That's actually a good way of putting it. It looks like it just looks like a much more expensive Quest.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know why they don't create a high-end standalone for consumers. I don't know why they don't do that. I mean, I'm asking that question, but I kind of know the reason is because of the software issue in terms of all the games on the Quest. They are built for the Quest. They all on the Quest Store, or the App Lab, and Vive doesn't have that. They don't have their own app ecosystem, right? So either they're gonna.
Is my mic freaking out right now?
Yeah, it's a little scratchy or whatever. I can still hear you though. I don't know. It was just a little scratchy for a second. But anyways, the reason why they don't do that is so they can't build like a software games ecosystem that's big enough to get people to buy the hardware, because it's always the software that sells the hardware, not the other way around. You can have better hardware. It doesn't matter. I mean, we've learned this time and time again through technology. When you talk about VHS versus Betamax, Betamax was a better, superior quality, but it was more expensive and less accessible to the mainstream in VHS won. If you look at even back in the day for video gaming, the Sega Master System was actually a more powerful system than the Nintendo, the original NES. But it didn't have the games that people wanted to play, so the NES became a huge monster. The Sega Master System was a very low percentage market share. You know what I mean? Every generation of video games, you'll see the consoles I believe, look, we don't know who the winner of this new generation is going to be, right? Between PS5 and Xbox Series X. But I mean, on paper, it looks like Xbox Series X is the superior
in the future. Yeah, it's a superior console in terms of specs for sure. You know,
but we don't know if they're going to win or not. Because right now PlayStation has more of the exclusive games. So
here's the thing. Here's the funny thing, Dennis. Even if the Xbox console itself doesn't beat the PS5 console, Xbox still wins. You know what I mean? Because they've got those monthly subscribers like crazy. You know what I mean? Like they're making the amount of money they're making monthly compared to Sony it's got to be different. Those are the numbers I want to see. I want to see Sony's monthly numbers compared to Xbox's monthly numbers. Excluding game sales.
Yeah. So the next piece of news, which is related to all of this too, is the next generation PlayStation VR, which everyone is just saying PSVR 2, but we don't have a real name for it yet.
Hold on. Before we move on to this real quick, I just have a little bit of information on this that is rather interesting, which I think, because at the end of the day, you and I would agree that even though, well, I think we can both agree that the Knuckles are better controllers than these ones, right?
Yeah, 100%. That's
so here's
not
the
even
thing,
debatable.
Dennis. If you buy the headset on its own with the pre-order special, you can actually buy the two base cameras that you need, the new ones, the 2.0 ones. You can buy those and then still go buy the Index, the Knuckles, separately, and it'll actually work out about $25 cheaper than the full set.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. So here's another fun fact. If you decide to get the 1.0 cameras instead, you save $100. And that's literally the best of both worlds. You're getting the Vive Pro 2, you've got the Knuckles, and then, well, I guess it depends how important the newer cameras are to the old cameras. But it's crazy to me that you can actually get, instead of getting the wands, you can literally go and get the Knuckles instead, and you'd be saving money. And they're just hands down better, you know?
Yeah, I mean, or if you currently own a Valve Index and you're a VR fanatic and you also want to get the Vive Pro 2, you can just buy the headset and you can use the base stations and the Knuckles that you already own, So
exactly, yeah.
So there you go.
And the pre-orders deal, there's a pre-order sale, so I'll get discounts, so that's good.
I mean, these are high-end, performance. This is for you are a diehard hardcore VR fan, because the mainstream audience doesn't want base stations. They don't want a tethered system, right? They don't want to set up these things. Is it a superior experience? Yes, because compared to the tracking, headset tracking, you can get more full range of motion with base stations, because they can get when you go behind and whatnot, versus the cameras that you just have in front, which they do a pretty awesome job at. Don't get me wrong, but it's still not going to comparison. But like I said, mainstream audience doesn't want to do that. They don't want the PC. They don't want the base stations. They want something that is standalone. I mean, this is anecdotal, but the reason I can tell the Quest 2 is killing it is when I bought the Quest 1 early last year, other than for work, there was nobody that I knew that had a Quest 1, like there was no one. And like my friend, your friends list or whatever, there's just no one on there. And when the Quest 2 came out, I started to get a few, people adding me. Some people I didn't know.
Friend requests and stuff. Yeah.
Some people I knew, some people I didn't know. And even at that time, that was back in October when it was released. It was like not that many. It was a few. I just took a look at my friends list now of requests, and I was like, I saw this big list, and I'm like, where did these people come from? You know what I mean? Like within 1 year, my friends list on the Quest has jumped from like this small, tiny group of people, and now it's like not like it's huge, but what I'm saying is it's more than quadrupled.
It's more than you ever had on the Quest,
Yeah, so I can tell like people are buying the Quest 2, and it's not the Quest 1. People are buying the Quest 2. It's $300. It
had good marketing. It's good price. You know what I mean?
It's the perfect price for that thing.
There hasn't been a single negative review. Like I don't think I've never heard anybody say a single bad thing.
How can you
except for people complaining about the strap? But it's like just pay the extra money to get the Pro strap.
Which I did. I paid $50. Well, I paid more than $50. It's $50 for the strap, but I paid $100. But that came with the battery plus the case,
which is a good counterweight. You said.
Yes, it is. Yeah. It is. I'm glad I got it. But you could just buy the strap without the battery if you want to for $50. But
let's go back for a second because this is quite impressive. The fact that the PSVR 2, the fact that they're planning for it to be 4K. Yeah. Well, then again, I suppose they do have the power with the PS5 to be able to pull that off. Yeah. So makes sense.
Yeah, they're looking at 2000 by 2040 per eye, which is
wow.
Yeah, okay. Kind of what we just mentioned with the Vive Pro 2. Kind of on the same lines as that, but that's great.
I think it'll most likely have a bigger field of view because I could be wrong now because I don't know all the VR consoles, all the VR systems out there, but as of the before the Quest 2 came out, I know for a fact that the PSVR, even though it wasn't the best system, it had the best field of view or the biggest field of view. Like it would kind of like wrap around your eyes a little bit,
Yeah. So.
But yeah, they haven't. It doesn't seem like they've spoken about the field of view. At least I don't see any news about.
No, I don't see it either. But it's it's very important to have high resolution, especially high frame rate in VR. So the higher the frame rate, the less sick that you will get from it, and also the immersion. When you are playing games or whatnot, it's just much higher when you have it.
Oh, wait. Have we spoken about the controllers before?
Yeah, we did. We talked about them.
I remember them. Yeah. They do. Yeah.
They are very Oculus Quest-like.
Very Quest-ish.
Yeah.
I feel like they added
standard.
the circle around your arm just to be able to not get sued.
Yeah. So anyways, that was a huge thing that they needed because let's be honest, the PSVR controllers, the Move controllers were terrible.
They were old, VR. Man. They came out 2006, 2007.
They weren't made for VR. They just kind of forced them to be,
Look, it was a good way to I'd say not save money, but make use of old stuff. I know a lot of people that got the PSVR without the controllers because they happen to have some old ones lying at home.
Yeah.
There was that benefit, but in the long run, not worth it, Then again, a lot of PSVR games don't even use the Move controllers. I suppose probably for that reason, because they're not good. They just use, the PS4 controller tracks better than the freaking Move controllers,
Yeah. So, all right. Anyways, let's go on to the next topic. Google insists.
Oh, gee, this is funny.
Google insists Stadia remains alive and well despite studio closure and departures. We've been talking about this for a while. Every week there's something new. We kind of mock them, and I'm sure we weren't the only ones about how they added a search engine or search bar on their game. Like, okay, great, this search engine king. just added a search bar on their surface. Anyways, you had the head of product, John Justice, leaving. You had State of Games lead, Jade Raymond, leaving. The internal studio shut down, which I think is a big mistake because, like I said, the only way you're getting people to play or use your system nowadays is exclusive games. No one, hardware, software, it's all about the games. If you don't have exclusive games, people really don't have a reason. Like, right now, Stadia's thing is, okay, it's cloud gaming, right? And it's not fully worked out yet, but let's say hypothetically it does get worked out. That's its current advantage over something like Game Pass. But the problem is Microsoft is working on xCloud right now. So pretty soon you're going to get a subscription, all-you-can-eat buffet of games and also be able to play it without a system,
Yeah.
So at that point, then what is the advantage that Google will have?
They have, right, even
and
right
no
now,
exclusive games.
Advantage.
Let's say Microsoft decides or finishes, their xCloud and it becomes this cloud gaming service that you don't need a console for. Then they have Game Pass, which you're paying. If you're playing Ultimate's $14.99, what was it, $9.99 for a regular Game Pass? Let's say $9.99 a month.
$15 for Pro.
All you can, play games. Then you're having day one exclusives. And what if they let's say they decide to make all the Bethesda games exclusive to their platform. Then you're talking about exclusively playing Halo, Gears of War, Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Doom, and many more. Wolfenstein, and they're only playable on Game Pass, and you get to play them all of them for only $9.99 a month, and you can play them without a console. I just don't see where Google Stadia is going to compete at that point.
Here's the thing, Dennis. Here's why Google Stadia is dying as we speak. They said they're going to add 100 games to Google Stadia in 2021, which is the year that we are currently in. We are halfway through this year, pretty much. Nobody's talking about it. Not a single person.
Do you know anyone that actually uses it? Because I don't.
Not a single person. I don't know a single freaking person.
I don't know a person that uses it.
And it's happening. I'm assuming that they're adding games as we speak, but it's one of those things where it could be amazing, but who cares? People have stopped caring. They missed the train. They had a bad launch. They missed the train. Here's the thing. By the time they work out their bugs, xCloud's going to be up their ass. Yeah. And then they're going to have to compete. And the only possible way, like you said earlier, the only possible way they could get ahead or compete is if they pull out some exclusives. Some serious exclusives out of their ass. Or if they team up with Amazon. Which is never going to happen. No. Google and Amazon team up? No, we're more likely to see freaking Sony and Xbox team up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I don't see them surviving. I feel like this is just PR where someone's like, no, that whole house is on fire. It's the meme, and everyone's like, we're fine, everything's fine. And the house is on fire. I feel like it's that meme,
Yeah. Speaking of Amazon with their Luna, which I don't think it's out of beta yet, still in beta. The reason I'm not as down on that is they are trying out a subscription-like service where it's all you can play. Obviously, it's not fully developed, but it looks like that's what they want to do because they had if I remember correctly, they had Ubisoft's library, or at least part of their library, part of their subscription service within their cloud gaming. So you have that part of it. And if Google can do the same, then okay, then we can say whatever. But if you just purely want someone to buy a game digitally and play it cloud-wise without a console, which by the way you still have to buy their proprietary controller for.
Yeah.
The barrier of entry is still not low. It's not low enough, and it's still inconvenient enough. Like I said, once you buy the console, whenever I buy a console, I just put it away and that's it. I don't think about it anymore, right? So other than that initial cost, right, which is, it is high, $500, right? $400, $500. I'm not saying there isn't a benefit to Google Stadia, but what I'm saying is they're just not giving you enough of an incentive to go that route because
And
let's
they're
say
not doing it quick enough, unfortunately,
like,
I get that it's going to be difficult to create the technology and make it work properly. I get that it's not a quick process, but they shouldn't have announced it when they announced it, or they shouldn't have launched it when they launched it. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's the bad PR that they have to dig their way out of to be successful as well is a very difficult thing to do,
Yeah. So anyways, we keep
Even
harping
if they
on
fix
it.
that's why I said even if they fix the problems, I feel like it's not going to do well,
No, you need exclusive games. Why do you think PS4 won the last generation of console gaming? They had exclusive games. And why do you think Microsoft bought Bethesda? There's two things they could do. They could either internally develop exclusive games that were AAA titles that people wanted to play, or they buy a huge studio that already had exclusive AAA games that they could fold into their library. And that's the route they chose. I mean, they do have their quote unquote quadruple A, studio that's working on that Perfect Dark reboot sequel. I don't know exactly what it is, but anyways, that's only one game.
I wonder if anybody's gonna snag the rights to Square Enix, at least for subscription-based services. Because I know, look, there's a lot of Final Fantasy games on Game Pass, but they're also like coming and going a lot.
Yeah, they just added one recently. Was it 7? Which one did they just add on
they also
Game
just
Pass?
recently took one off. I know they just added 10, which I downloaded because it's my favorite one. I played it 100 times and I'll play it 100 times more. So they just added 10 and 10-2. But at the same time, they also just took off 9.
Mm-hmm.
Like the day before they added 10, they took off 9. So I know that they don't have exclusive rights to it.
Of course.
So I'm wondering. Well, Square Enix has always preferred Sony. To be fair.
Yeah.
They always have preferred.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll make a deal with Sony in the future. Who knows? I'm not too
If
sure.
Sony,
I just don't know what the heck Sony's doing, man.
If Sony was smart, they would buy out Square Enix right now.
Yeah. Because they're both Japanese companies as well. I feel like the acquisition would be fairly easy,
Yeah. But
But
anyway,
I mean, look, Square Enix is huge as well. You got to keep in mind that that MMO money is real. You know what I mean? Like, you look at like that World of Warcraft money, that Final Fantasy 14 money, that's real, man. Those monthly subscriptions, and they're not cheap, man. Like, I think what is it? Like, it's still like look at like paying $10 every month for Game Pass is worth it, but paying $10 every month for one game, you know what I mean? Like, they're raking in that money. So that's another unfortunate thing. Like, they are a top dog for that, just for their monthly pull in,
Yeah. So anyways, we not too high on Stadia. Amazon Luna, a wait and see, but right now, and Sony, like I said, they're doing that PS Plus thing with the video thing, but I'm not sure that's not really going to change anything.
Care. No one's going to care about
right
that.
Now, the thing that's saving Sony is their exclusive titles, which are great ones like God of War and Uncharted, Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima. They just added another exclusive title that people will buy, like a PS5 just for that game, those type of that's the type of games you need, right?
All right, yeah. The Sega news is exciting.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this. I am someone who is a Sega fanboy from back in the day on Sega
I'm just a crazy taxi
Genesis,
fan, hardcore crazy taxi fan.
Yeah, Dreamcast. So, anyways, I also have a take on this. So, in financial results presentation, Sega revealed that they are considering reboots of Crazy Taxi, Jet Set Radio, and other dormant IPs. And they're also beginning to work on a super game. Now, I am very excited about this because I love Crazy Taxi. There's other games that they own still that haven't been, worked on for a while, like Panzer Dragoon and Knights. Obviously we still have Sonic and Persona and Yakuza anyways. But my take is this. I love this. But you know what it's perfect for? And it doesn't even benefit me. This is perfect for the Nintendo Switch.
Oh, yeah.
Think about it. Playing Crazy Taxi or Jet Set Radio on a Nintendo Switch. It's the perfect match for that type of games.
No, that'd be fun. That'd be fun. Yeah, no, it would work well as well. It's not a very resource heavy game.
Huh.
I mean, I have a different take, which is that
Okay.
as much as I would like, I would love a Crazy Taxi remaster, but what I really want, and I don't think a single person is going to agree with me, but I want a new Crazy Taxi from the ground up with new driving mechanics. As much as I love the old clunky driving mechanics, and that's what makes it fun, is how clunky, like, you know what I mean? That's what makes, like, dude, I cannot tell you how much money I spent playing that game in arcade, and then I ended up owning it on PlayStation as well. It's, dude, I just love that game. But I would want both. I would want a remaster, like a retexture, just like an upscaled version of the game. But I would also love, like, from the ground up, like just a brand new Crazy Taxi game with like more intense like driving mechanics. Like if they had to hire some of the people from Need for Speed to do the new Crazy Taxi, I would love it. You know what I mean? But once again, I don't think anybody's gonna agree with me on that. You know?
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah,
But yeah,
I am excited about this.
a remaster would be perfect for the Switch.
Yeah, and Knights 2 would be great on the Switch. And I don't even own a Switch. I'm just saying it's just the perfect. Those games are perfect for that type of platform. You know.
Yeah. I mean,
mobile,
look. So Crazy Taxi stands out the most, which is why people are speculating it. But out of the other, like, there's a lot of dormant IPs. What are the other ones that you think that they might consider? I think House of the Dead is definitely one, because I know House of the Dead did have a console release on the PS3.
House of Dead
So-
in VR would be awesome. That's
Yeah!
that's where it needs to go.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That needs to happen, man. Yeah, House of the Dead VR, that needs to happen. Even if it's like a remake of the old one. Streets of Rage, didn't
They had a
re-
remake.
actually
They had
release?
4. They had 4.
Yeah,
Streets
they
of
had
Rage 4 or
they
5
had
or I
one
forgot.
recent. Virtua Fighter, that's an old IP. I don't see them doing that because there's too much competition, you know, with like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat and Tekken, and so I don't see them doing
Well,
that.
also
you know?
the 3D versus one. You know, right now Mortal Kombat's big and Street Fighter's still big, but the whole 3D fighter thing kind of, you know, it was big with Tekken and Dead or Alive and Virtual Fighter back in the day, but those kind of have not really survived. People are more into the 2D fighters still. I mean, even Street Fighter added their 3D component to it, and people weren't that, you know, sold on it.
They didn't have, well, because a lot of their combos wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Because most of those combos are very like 2D have 2D aspects to them. You know, like literally the spinning kick that you do. Like if someone just sidesteps it, but it's so easy to avoid. So I can see that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It takes like that competitive aspect out of it.
So I don't see that.
Definitely, it works for Tekken though, because Tekken, half the moves in Tekken involve you having to sidestep and having to like use the 3D aspect of moving and grappling at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, Virtual
Fighter
was Virtual Fighter
stuff,
2 is like one of my favorite fighting games because it was very, very balanced, and you know, I played Drunken Master and he was awesome.
Oh yeah, dude. Yes, I mean, he was the go-to character when I was a kid, just because I was like, haha, he's drunk, you know, and he's doing the little, he's doing the drunken fist style, and he's just it's so good.
But anyways, yeah, there's plenty of IPs that they can
What do you think is going to be their super game? Like, that's what I want to know, because they have a 5-year plan to release what they call a super game, and what also look, okay, yeah, 5 years is a good amount of time to develop a game, but like I know games that have been developed over 5 years and they're not even considered super games. They're just games, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know.
What kind of super game are they planning? What do they know that we don't?
I hope it's some sort of AAA title that's a new IP that gets people, you know, talking about Sega again. Because, you know, Sega was huge back in the day with the Genesis and even
it's going to be an
era.
FPS title?
No, I don't know what it is.
Here looking at like their system that they set up, the challenge toward creating large-scale global titles is developing a new FPS title at a European studio, utilization of IP assets, create aimed
sci-fi shooter
for 3 to 5 years from now.
Look,
so it looks like it is gonna be an FPS game.
Okay, if they do it, I want it. I hope that it's very story
ambitious multiplayer sci-fi shooter. Yeah.
I hope it has a single player campaign to it.
I hope it doesn't come out at a point in time where people are sick and tired of sci-fi shooters, because we have a lot of sci-fi shooters at the moment. You know what I mean? Look, maybe by because they want to release it in 2026. Maybe by then we have the craving for it again, or there's a lack of it in 5 years. But currently, there's too many, in my opinion. You know.
I mean, what was it? Altered Beast, Golden Axe. Those are two. But I mean, remember
Oh,
those are like
dude,
side
Golden Axe.
scrolls.
Hell yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. I'm excited by this, but I'm a
Yeah.
little not hesitant, not even skeptical. I just want to be cautiously optimistic because remember, you got to put in the time and effort in the. You can't just have the IP, right? The IP is one
Yeah.
part of the solution, right? And the second is delivering on what that actual IP is. So,
It seems like they're gonna try to go for games as a service because I think
oh,
they know that that might be the only way that they can survive, especially after having shut down all their arcades.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like they took a big financial hit during like the pandemic.
yeah,
I mean, a lot of people did, but they really like the fact that they had to close down physical locations as well was pretty bad.
yeah.
Which was one of the
Uh,
last like profitable things they had, if you think about it, was their arcades.
yeah. All right, that's all I have on my list. What do you got going on?
I got a bunch of small stuff and one news that's like big but not worth talking about, which is this I think you'll find funny because this is Resident Evil related and I like this, which
Mm.
is everyone now that the game is out, everyone has a new obsession. It's no longer Lady Dimitrescu. I stumbled that, but anyways, it's now this character and I actually like him too. He's called the Duke, and he's just this really really fat merchant. That's all he is. He's just a really really fat merchant, and like he doesn't do anything. He's just people just like him. I like I can kind of get the appeal. There's something about him that's just like he's like funny to look at, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a couple clips of him and it's like I suppose as well it's kind of like, oh, thank God I can buy stuff now, ammo or whatever I need. It's like a saving grace as well. But yeah, people are loving the Duke, man. They're loving him. He's got this giant gut that just hangs over him, and like apparently like you can throw pipe bombs at him and all he just goes is like, oh, like he like barely reacts to you throwing a pipe bomb at him. He doesn't get angry or anything because
Mm-hmm.
he just likes money. I don't think he's a good guy or like who knows. Like I haven't played the full game, so I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
he's a vampire too or if he's part of that, like I think part of that association. All I know is that he just likes money. He doesn't care who you are. If you got coin to spend, he'll help you out.
Mm.
But yeah, people are liking the Duke. That was that kind of like I don't know. It just happened this week where people were kind of appreciating the Duke. This we already spoke about. Discord says it's evolving beyond gaming, but still excited that they're working with PlayStation. I think this is
Mm-hmm.
because a while ago we covered that Discord wants to be more involved in social spaces, not specifically social media,
Mm-hmm.
but they want to be creating social spaces, which makes sense because a Discord server is pretty much a social space. But I think they're going to be working more on servers and more on making creating new features like just to make it like more of a social space than it already is, and it's a pretty good digital social
Mm-hmm.
space as is in my opinion. I'm curious to see what changes they're going to make. It's most likely going to be UI changes and things like that. um yeah, like they say here, 78% of active users use Discord for non-gaming activities, which is crazy. So like that's almost, yeah, 78% of their users are just there for like fan base things, you know what I mean? Like anime groups, manga groups, comic groups, you know what I mean? Like so it makes sense. So they're going to be focusing more on that, but they are excited to be working with PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
Um yeah, there's a couple other news related to it, but it's more industry related and less video game related. Um I need to make sure I'm reading this correctly. So anyways, there's a new studio, a new RPG studio coming out called Lightforge Games. And it's basically being created by, and you want to make sure I get these names right. It's coming from Blizzard. Blizzard, it's either, I could be reading this article wrong. It's either Blizzard and Epic veterans, or it's just Blizzard veterans, and they're calling the veterans Epic. I'm not too sure. Um, Oh, it is, yeah. Former Blizzard and Epic engineer Matt Shembari is joining the collective with a new endeavor, Lightforge Games. So it's coming from what seems like a lot of people are fans from these people from Blizzard and Epic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm excited to see what they're going to do in the future. Not much news so far. We just know it's an RPG studio, so they'll be working on RPGs, which makes sense because it's Blizzard. You know what I mean? Um, I wonder if because the other guy's coming from Epic, maybe we're gonna get FPS RPG game or something. Um, but yeah, they mainly just have news about like having to relocate and all that stuff and things that don't matter, like money. All these, the rest of this article doesn't matter to video games, but I'm excited to see what they do in the future. So we have a new RPG studio out there. Lightforge, let's keep an eye on it in the future. This is very small but kind of related. Borderlands 3 movie. We got a news of a cameo that I'm excited about. Do you know Penn and Teller?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Penn is going to be in Borderlands 3. He's going to be a character in the Borderlands 3 movie. He honestly perfect. Perfect for Borderlands. I'm happy with that. I hope that they put Teller in too. Honestly, just as a side character behind him or something, you know. I think that would be quite cool. But yeah, that wasn't really important news. It's just fun to talk about. This I find interesting, Dennis, which is not big news. It's just interesting gaming news. You know Roblox?
Yeah.
So Roblox is a game where you can make your own games as well, and people can play those games, and you can make a lot of money, like not selling Roblox games, but through microtransactions. You can set up your own microtransactions on your own Roblox game. So there are like kids out there making money even. But there's a Roblox game right now. What is the name of it actually? Like I feel so bad, but it's the fastest growing and most successful Roblox title of all time. As of April, it had 1.9 million concurrent users. It's had 22 billion visits, which means like 22 billion plays. But there's almost 2 million concurrent users in April 2021. So they decided that the people who made this Roblox game, not Roblox itself, but like I said, the game within Roblox, they've developed their own studio now, which is a 40-man studio, which is bigger than the Valheim studio. Isn't that crazy? Like, that's crazy. But to be fair, they're probably making way more money than Valheim because of microtransactions.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I mean, Roblox
But
is a
that
huge thing.
Yeah, and kids are the biggest money spenders of all. You know what I mean? That's why.
Well, it's parents for kids. That's what it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, if you look at it, any advertisement company will tell you the same thing: is that the best people to sell to are kids because they just go, "Mommy, Daddy, please." You know, it's why people will always. It's unfortunate, but people will always push advertising onto children, and it's the reason why the FCC fights so hard to protect kids. But that's another story for another day. Anyways, I thought that was crazy though. So they started a 40-man studio from a Roblox game. It's also no big surprise because we've seen things like Dota 2. I mean, Dota started as a game within a game, you know, and then it became its own thing, like huge. Well, to be fair, I think it was Valve, you know, that got involved. But still, so that's cool. This is super small. I don't know how it's gonna work, but Rambo and Die Hard are coming to Warzone next week. I don't know what that means because there's no other information attached to this article. That's just the headline and that's it. So, hey, if you play Warzone, hey, Rambo and Die Hard are going to be.
I wonder if there's going to be like a scenario or a map.
Because they don't see the characters' names. They just say Die Hard. Die Hard's coming to the game. Like, what does that mean?
The only thing I can think of is the building.
Going to be there.
That's what I'm assuming. Yeah. I'm assuming the map is the Die Hard Tower, Nakatomi Plaza.
That would be cool.
And you play.
That would be cool.
That and there's terrorists or whatever, and I don't know.
You see the German guy falling.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great. So yeah, no idea what that means. This is the last bit of news I have, but it's the one that I'm most excited about. Also don't know how to feel about it because I don't actually know much about the Forza tech engine. But the new Fable game is being developed by Turn 10, the developers of Forza, and they're using the Forza tech engine, which makes sense. It's their engine, and they're using it to enrich the tool set to support an open world action RPG. I'm not too sure if that matters, but we saw the announcement trailer a long time ago. It looked beautiful. Like, I'm excited for the game. Forza as a game also does look beautiful. You know what I mean? I mean, yes, it's a racing game, but the actual, if you ever take the time to look at the landscape of around you in Forza, it's beautiful. So I feel like they're mainly going to be using the engine for like the greenery, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like the trees and the grass and stuff, because Forza, like they look beautiful. Then again, I mean, you don't get to see them up close, obviously, because you're on the road. But you know, I think it's going to be that. So yeah, they're working on new features like ray tracing for the game. So Fable will have ray tracing most likely. Yeah, man, I can't believe it's already been a year since the announcement. But yeah, I'm looking.
I knew that game was going to come out for a while. I mean, just
it's not going to happen for a while.
So.
Yeah, but that's about the news that we got for that. Good, but like, you got to keep in mind as well, though, that they are also working on Forza Motorsport. So They're
Yeah.
not just working on Fable. It seems like they'll be also continuing on Forza, which they have to, you know.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it makes sense. I mean, not so much. It's just that the Forza, I don't play racing games in general just because I suck at them. And the only kinds that I really like playing are like actually in the arcade. We got the steering wheel. And even then, I still suck at them. But the one thing I always admired about Forza was the graphics. The graphics are always amazing. So if they're going to use that engine and take it and utilize it in Fable, then great.
I just read now. That's what I speculated is exactly what they're doing. They're using it for the scenery, greenery. So they're going to be using it for the world, specifically the open world itself, the scenery, the landscapes and stuff. Which I think, like I said, from Forza Horizon, which is a fairly old game, those landscapes look gorgeous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think it's gonna add that. It's gonna add whimsy to the world of Fable, and Fable is a very whimsical word, and I don't like using that word whimsy, but that's the best way to describe Fable. It's very whimsical.
It applies. There's
It
very few
applies
things that are whimsical, and it applies to something
to
like
Fable. It's very like whimsy because it goes for that fairy tale vibe sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
But that's the last bit of news that I have.
Cool.
I'm just so excited about it.
Cool. I guess that's it for the episode. Yeah. Next week, let's see what kind of big news drops.
Oh, well, we can talk about Mass Effect next week.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, because I'm gonna see if I can get my hands on it. Because like I said, I don't mind too much paying that $60 mark.
I'm not saying it's not overpriced considering what it is. It's just
it's also
for me right now.
Middle of the month, you know, it's the middle of the month. You know, gotta wait for payday still.
Yeah. All right. That's it for now. You guys can follow me on Twitter @ThinkHero, Instagram Dennis.tzng. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/Revog. You can subscribe to the podcast. Like I said, check out if you're into VR at all, check out our basketball VR game. Pick up basketball VR. We just launched a big update today. Also going to have a link to the Steam page on there. Josh, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on why am I blanking TikTok. There we go. That's the platform everybody knows and loves. You guys can find me on TikTok @josh.toki, and you guys can find me on Instagram @josh.toki, and you guys can find me on Twitch @josh_toki. And yeah, another great. If you guys have any questions, if you guys ever want to talk to me, the best place to find me is on the Revog Discord channel. You guys will see me on the right. It's just I'm the only admin with Josh. Yeah. I'm the only Josh admin, so that's me. You guys feel free to ask me anything.
Cool. All right. See you guys later.
See you later.